Commissioner Bass, can you do our invocation? Followed by our pledge of allegiance.
Father, we thank you for your loving kindness. We thank you for your tender mercies. Father God, we just ask you that you would grant us wisdom. Father God, help us, oh God, to move according to your perfect will and not ours. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Pledge of allegiance. I
pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we're gonna open up for public input. And we ask anybody that is speaking in public input to stay germane to the topic. Public input is open.
Good evening, George Suarez, 1341 Dunot Avenue. First, I'd like to say thank you to the commission, city manager, city attorney, everybody, the police chief, for everything that's been going on in our great city of Opa-locka. I've been hearing a lot of negative things, but I never come up here. I hadn't been up here in a while, but I like to say the positive lights that I'm seeing since I've been living here since 2015. And we all know what's been going on in our great city. Now we're moving in the right step. Let's not get caught up in all the throwing rocks and hiding our hands, and concentrate on what is making our city great, like finding ways to continue to make our children come out and play in the parks, finding ways to keep our elderly more happy with all the events that's going on in our neighborhood. Our crime is low. That is something I could say because I've done dumb things in the last couple of days that I left my car unlocked. Since I voiced my address, please don't check my car. But we are moving in the right light. Let's just continue to work together, because right now we are doing so much better than what we were doing in 2015. And some of us were up there and some of us seen what the city can become. And I believe that if we continue to strive in the right area, we'll be okay. That's all I have to say. Thank you for all your hard work, and continue to bless this community and let us strive. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you, Mr. Suarez. Anyone else in public input? All right, public input is closed. Before we go any further, Madam Manager, are we able to connect Commissioner Kelly?
Staff, it's my understanding that staff sent him a link, but he has not logged back in.
Okay. Have we reached out to him, or he's
Trying to do what? They're still trying to link him in. I'll reach out to him.
okay? All right. In the meantime, Madam Attorney, you can go ahead and introduce the item.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this is an item, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Opa-locka, Florida, authorizing the interim city manager to execute an agreement with the Employee Relations Group to serve as the city's outside entity human resources director, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for conflict, providing for an effective date. And this is sponsored by the City Commission.
Can I get a motion?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Williams. Second by Commissioner Bass. All right, Madam Attorney, you can go ahead and introduce the item, please.
Yes, sir. This basically you all have as backup the resolution, and the resolution just states what the history of this issue has been. And during the regular commission meeting on November the 8th, the City Commission expressed a desire specifically to have two shortlisted candidates that were later decided upon by the manager that the selection would be the Employee Relations Group. And after that, as an additional requirement of the resolution that was passed, you all determined that and the state also approved that a contract will be entered into and that you would then ratify the contract. So there is no contract. I've not been given any contract terms. The special commission meeting was scheduled. You have in front of you the agreement, which is a part of a standard professional services agreement that's used. The only thing that is not in this agreement because the scope of services was already required as a part of the RFQ. So that was in the RFQ that went out. What I've done under Article 2 of this document is I restated the scope of services so that you can see what the scope is and what you're purchasing. This will not prohibit the manager and the contractor to have additional things that are within the scope of the employee of the department, human resources department, to provide additional services outside of this if they are related. But you see the scope of services. Again, that is all what you previously approved as a part of the RFQ that went out and the manager provided. The only thing that is not included is the contract sum, which has to be determined. I'm not sure if the contractor has had any communications with the manager, or if the manager through Ms. Lawson may know what that contract amount is supposed to be. But other than that, again, this is, your standard agreement that we've been using, and I'm assuming through the clerk that it has already been sent to the contractor and the representative of the employee relations group.
Okay, do we have any questions for the city attorney?
I'm attorney. I'm sorry. Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Williams?
quick question. I know that you mentioned the contract and the agreement. Can you tell us why, maybe you can expound why we're just seeing it now and not having had it on November 16th?
I cannot answer that. That was the manager, and I did send an email around that time to inquire as to whether any terms had been, and I think I copied all of you, any terms had been agreed upon by the contractor and the manager, and I did not hear back on the issue. And perhaps the assistant city manager may have additional information that she can share, or perhaps the contractor may know, but I don't know.
Through the mayor, Madam Assistant Manager, maybe you can answer.
Good afternoon. No, I cannot answer that specific question. However, I do know that I was a part of one meeting with the contractor and the city manager immediately following the last meeting. And I am aware that emails have been going back and forth between the manager and the contractor. The latest email was this afternoon at 5:15 p.m. From the manager to the contractor, informing her that he will not be able to accept the amount that was requested and that he would give her a call. So I'm not sure what took place after that email today.
So, and I know you can't answer the question, but
no, the city calling you.
Commissioner Kelly, I think you're on. Yeah, his mic was on.
Okay.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Okay.
Say yes. Say yes. Go for something.
I don't want to interrupt Commissioner Williams.
Oh,
Oh,
okay. No, we just want to make sure that you can hear and we can hear you. All right, well,
Okay.
I'll give you the, well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
once you-
Okay.
so I think I just want to put on record. So according to the resolution, and I typically don't read out loud any whereases or just so, but I think it's important that it's on record and that the public does know what our, and I'm not going to speak, I'm going to say my frustration is. First, let me say thank you, Mr. Mayor, for calling this meeting. Because we needed to move forward. Things were being stagnant, and during the regular commission meeting on November 8th, the city commission expressed a desire to allow the interim city manager additional time to negotiate and select from two shortlisted candidates no later than 5 p.m. on Monday, November 13th. I don't know if everybody remember, but we were up here, and I'm going to speak to my colleagues right now, and everybody can shut me out, but I'm speaking to my colleagues. We gave additional time, and that time was 5 p.m. on Monday. The city commission shortlisted two candidates for outside entity human resources director. City manager and the interim city manager was required to negotiate this with the shortlisted candidates. And this is the part where I underline and report back to each city commissioner with his selection no later than 5 p.m. on November 13th. I've searched my emails. I have no call log, nothing from November 13th, that nothing was reported to me. Whereas the interim city manager was further authorized to initiate services and enter into agreement a form approved by the city attorney. Meaning they had to talk and come up with an agreement. And these terms were conditioned, were approved by the state of Florida on or about November 16th. Whereas on November 29th, here we are. We're here. So you do the math. I'm not a math. I used to teach English. I didn't teach math, but you do the math. Look at the dates. So here we are at a regular commission meeting trying to push and execute an agreement. We're asking, and I asked, why are we just getting this contract? Well, we're just getting this contract because we were supposed to have it November 16th. It's right there. And it is now November 29th. This is my frustration with this process. So again, I'm glad that we're here. I'm glad that we are moving forward. But if I have to have a special commission meeting every week, and you know I don't like meetings, Ms. Flores, to make this happen, to push the needle a little bit further. But I think the part, and again, I'm speaking to my colleagues, I've heard Commissioner Kelly say this before in terms of being asked questions and not getting response. The resolution was so clear that says we would hear back. Each one of us will hear back, and that didn't happen. And it just concerns me when we don't hear back from our management. So here it is. Now we're here, and I'm asking a question from the manager's office, and it's, I don't know. That's concerning. So I just wanted to put that on record because I'm trying to be nice about this, but my level of frustration has now allowed me to see that there's other things happening here. So I don't know what that, now going back into the amendment, to the contract, I don't know if maybe the manager, assistant city manager, or maybe the attorney can let us know what is that dollar amount.
based on the email that was sent today from the manager, his email said that he cannot accept 165,000.
Madam Attorney, as a board, we can accept it, correct?
You are the contracting entity. What you would
Okay.
be doing is having the manager, figure out what the budget is based on that amount that you're accepting, that you would be accepting.
Okay. Thank you. I'm done.
Vice Mayor?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Of course, I'm just getting something that we have been doing that's really driving me crazy is we get these things to look at and then we have to make a decision, Johnny, on the spot. And I am so bothered by that. And so I'm just briefing through this quickly just to see what I can see. And what I'm kind of confused about, not confused, is I look at Article 10 and I see that it says that this agreement is shall be for 1 year. I didn't know that I thought the goal was for us to actually hire a HR person at some point. I didn't know that we were trying to get this contract for an entire year. I didn't know that that's what we were trying to do. I just heard the amount 165,000. I am not in agreement with 165,000. I am sorry. And I'm steady looking through the agreement at this hour. I'm sure if I keep reading it or had a longer length of time to read it, I probably will come up with some other things. I'm looking at this. I just happened to see this just now, deliverables. The city expects the contractor to work on site at least 1 day per week.
Commissioner, through the mayor, vice mayor, these are all things that were in the RFQ. So there's nothing new. These are all from the RFQ. They're just pulled right out of the RFQ. The RFQ is what you all approved to put out on the street, and it's actually what the manager did. He actually came up with the RFQ, and then you all approved it at a meeting, and these are just the same terms grabbed from that document and put in this document. Even the term, the 1 year plus the additional years, if you agree, all of this is from the RFQ.
Okay. But I thought I didn't, okay. 165, 1 day a week. I don't like that. Thank you.
All right. Commissioner Kelly?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir. You have the floor.
thank you. Good afternoon. I apologize not being there, a little under the weather. I won't reiterate a lot of comments made. I do agree with my colleague, Commissioner Williams. And I've been saying this for months on end now about getting information. I was not at the November 8th meeting, but I did go back and look. And it was very clear what the commission intent was to get this moving, to get it done. And of course, like with most things in this city, when you ask information, you don't get it in a timely manner. Even with the 165, that can't be a new number. I'm quite sure when the negotiation took place with the applicant, that number had to be agreed upon or at least proffered at that moment. So that line should have been filled in or at least given to us prior to now. I am of the opinion if we can spend money on a whole lot of the stuff we're doing, and I could name a whole lot, but for the conversation time, I won't do it. 165 for all of the deliverables inside of this document says they be on site 1 day a week. Does not say that they will not be working, but when you look at some of the deliverables right down to recruitment for positions, recruitment and implementation of strategies for positions and hiring, all of those things, even right down to now, we don't really get or we don't really see until it's a post on the social media that we're even having a job recruitment fair. So even in those things, I think are critical. And I think anyone coming here at this moment, or where we are with the challenges, would require at least a year. And to the attorney's point, it is something that was in the agreements that you put out in terms of what you were looking for. So in my opinion, we have the resources, we have the money. 165 to me, for where we are, to ask someone to come in and focus on the hiring process for the city manager and some other things that are needed in HR, which we currently don't have, an HR director, period. And we went through, so I'm not going to go through all of that. But to me, we just need to make sure to direct the manager's office to find the additional dollars, pass this item, so that we can move forward with the process. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
No problem. And that's, oh, sorry, Commissioner Bass?
Thank you. I agree that we need to move forward with this process. I totally agree. I do not agree with the 165, nor do I like the fact that was stated before that we're getting this stack of paper in front of us at this minute. This is not being a good steward, in my opinion. And I say it all the time. We all say it, that we don't want things at the last minute and have to vote on it. And that's where I am tonight. Had I gotten this 2 hours earlier, I would have been okay with it, but just not right now. That is not good business and it's not good stewardship.
Okay, I agree. Looking back at the resolution, we did have deliverables and timelines for the city manager. To have this document to us as a commission at 5 o'clock, by 5 o'clock on November 13th. That never happened, which is the reason why we are here tonight. And because we stated that he was to pick, negotiate, get back with the commission on the 13th with his selection, and then that person was to start, I believe we said, use the term immediately. I believe that's what it was, that they were to start immediately so that we, one, can fill the positions in our HR department, which was stated, we only have one person and a temp, and also to help facilitate the manager search for the city commission. But for whatever reason, that did not happen. And to Commissioner Kelly's point, and also to what the city assistant city manager said, there has been an email chain going back and forth. So obviously, like to his point, the 165 is not a new number. So they started somewhere, and then it's implied, but I don't know, but maybe we can, I would like to hear from the applicant as well as, wait, where is the city manager?
He was here, but he left. He's not here.
Okay,
Mr. Mayor, I'm
and-
so sorry. Did you know? Did anybody get a call?
no,
Okay.
I didn't know that the manager wasn't coming. Okay, so I don't, Commissioner Bassett, can we find out if he's in the building? She said he's not in the building, he's not on the premises. All right, so I don't see an issue, nor do I have a problem with the 165 based on the scope of work and what the person, the entity will be giving to the city. Because I believe the manager stated that it would be more of a hybrid type situation, and that you will come in with two people. Would we like to hear from you?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
Miss Adams, if you don't mind.
Thank you, everyone. Mary Adams, and I am the finalist and the one chosen by the city manager to become your HR director, outside entity representative. I've been speaking with Ms. Shamika Lawson and the city manager, and the first time we spoke after our general meeting was an introduction Zoom where Shamika attended. And after that, there were several days. And then we had a negotiation of rate discussion. And I gave the city manager.
What date was the introductory?
So it was on I made notes from my calendar while I was waiting November 15th, we had our introduction Zoom meeting. Friday, November 17th, the city manager gave himself a deadline that he would respond to me. That response did not occur until the following Tuesday. And then after that, we spoke on the 28th. And that's when I had given him a number from the 224 on my 1,000 on my bid, because he said he would allow me to have the head count when we spoke on the 17th. I said, you've stated in the meeting that we had here that there will be 4 people, including this position in that department. And I said, taking that into consideration, I would gladly lower my bid. And that's when we had our first discussion.
And
Of
what was that date?
Of the number. One moment, please. So 17th, 16th was we had a Zoom meeting on the 17th. And then I would go in and I would just send an email confirming in my email. And based on our Zoom, I stated I would be willing to come on site 4 days per week, the first 60 days. Because I also did not think it was reasonable for someone at this level to come into an organization that had not had an HR manager or director level and to work only 1 day per week. So I offered and it was accepted. For the first 60 days, I would be physically on site working the first 60 days. And as I've noted in my bid, my availability for December was a trip that I planned. So in this email, I reiterated and asked approval during the Zoom, and the manager and the team, Greg and Shamika, agreed that yes, I could take my time off. I will still be working. I would just have to work remote for about 2.5 weeks. I'll be in Europe with my in-laws for Christmas, but I'll still be working. It'll just be a different time zone, but I wouldn't physically be here that time period. And they said, well, things are slow during that period anyway, which won't affect me as far as what I have to do, whether it's fast or slow. But that's something that I agreed on, I put in writing, and I intend to adhere to that promise. Whether it's in this document or not, I will be here 4 days per week as soon as I'm given the okay that I am approved. So between the 17th and the 28th, we did not have another number conversation
What was the
until
initial number?
Monday. 180. And then we were supposed to talk again. That happened on Monday, late in the afternoon, the 28th. And I'm sorry, it was Monday, the 27th. Yeah, today's Wednesday, so it had to be the 27th. Thank you very much. The 27th. And that's when we had our second conversation of a negotiated number. And the city manager countered to 150. And then on Monday, at the same time, I got the invite while he and I were speaking on the telephone, Monday the 27th, of this meeting. So he was phoning me, emailing me, and I got within the same 3-minute time frame. I got the offer of 150 since our 17th Zoom meeting. And I countered to 165, which brings us right in between the 180 and the one, I'm sorry, we had a 125 on the 17th. We had a, but it was rather quick. He said 125 and then he kind of said, well, I know that's not gonna work. So there wasn't really a lot of negotiation. And that's when I said, well, I was looking at 180. And he said, well, I can't do that and I'll get back with you. And that's where we left things on the 17th. I did, each time we spoke, I sent an email trail that I'd be glad to forward as well. I could send it to Ms. Joanna and she could send it out since I don't have your direct emails, where I put in writing my counter time on site, my time that I would be away, and the additional duties that he has asked me to consider, which I've also agreed on.
Any questions for Ms. Adams?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, anything.
Commissioner Williams?
when was the first email that you or call you received on the 27th? If you can pinpoint it, or
Of course. Let me go into my recent. It was on. It was on Monday. 5:30 p.m. Yes, it's in my call log. And we spoke for 9 minutes.
okay. So on Monday, I was writing down a timeline, the 15th, the 17th, and then the 27th. On the 17th, no communication between the 17th and the 27th.
My email reiterating our
Of course.
conversation.
Okay.
Yes.
And then on the 27th was the first phone call of true actual negotiations.
Correct. I
Okay.
would say yes.
So let's call a spade a spade. We're talking about why we're just getting the packet. We're talking about why we're just getting, because Monday, the first phone call happened.
At
The
5
first,
At 5.
Miss Flores, when did you call me to around what time on Monday for a special commission meeting?
I
It was
can't
in the
even.
morning. Okay, I'm gonna answer that for
I
you.
called everybody about the same time.
It was in the
Commissioner.
morning.
Yes, ma'am.
So it's
It
interesting.
was.
Timeline. Thank you. I just went ahead and answered that for you. The timeline is we have the 17th, the 27th. We get a special commission meeting invite, or will we be available? Ms. Flores, at what time did you know we will have a special commission meeting? Did you get everyone polled by?
Let me just check, Commissioner Williams, because I did send an email confirmation to everyone with regards to the special commission meeting in which the city manager was also a part of that meeting.
Was it
that
before
email.
5? Can you let me know, was it before 5:30?
It was.
Okay, so let's just, again, so it was before 5:30. The 17th, the crickets for an entire week. The 27th, which was Monday. We were polled. The mayor called a special commission meeting. We were polled. We all agreed to be here at 5:30. Now the first email/phone call happens. Now we're talking about rush negotiations. On the 28th, according to Ms. Lawson's assistant city manager, an email went out saying 160 was too high. Okay.
I've not seen that, maybe while I was in transit.
It was today. It wasn't the
Oh,
28th. It was today.
Okay, so on the 29th, an email went out.
And I see Ms. Flores' email about the meeting and the agenda. It's dated November 27, 5:17 p.m.
Okay. My point that it was before 5:30.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Today an email goes out on the 29th, not the 28th, that it is now that number is too high. Now our city attorney has to rush a contract, type up something. And then so we talk about, again, why we're just seeing this. 15th, 17th, 27th, 29th. Thirteenth, 13th, November 13th, shortlisted candidates report back to each city commissioner with the selection. The 16th, negotiations should have been done. Negotiation should have been done on the 16th so that we don't get this packet at the 9th hour. Like, unfortunately, it's just so disrespectful. And it's not right. I'm just, it's not right. And so trying to keep it calm. So we're here. So one thing I'm going to say, we all are experts at something. Whatever that your expertise is. I can tell you anything about education, or I can't tell you about law enforcement or HR or being an Esquire lawyer. But one thing I think that we should not do is say what we think an HR director should make, because I can't tell you. So I'm going to do my homework, and that's what I did. I always say I'm going to research. I'm going to do the research because I don't know. And I don't want to sit here and willy-nilly say that, you know, that just seems like an exorbitant amount of money. And coming in to an organization and effectuating transformational change, it is a daunting task. You can't even put a price tag on that. HR is a heartbeat of an organization. It is a heartbeat. You have to have these conversations. I employ my colleagues, have these conversations with anyone. If you look at our track record, we do not attract former, previous, will be, prior HR directors. Every one of our HR directors were assistant HR directors. They were assistant HR directors trying to come into an organization and trying to effectuate change. So they never had that experience of being the person that knows what to do. That's what we've had. Go back. We've never had anyone that have actually been on this level. Ms. Adams, for you to say 160 is very admirable of you, because I am telling you, there are HR directors making twice as much in organizations. So for you to say you're going to give our city, and I appreciate that, 4 days a week for 60 days, when I'm sure, again, this is a contract. You can have other.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
I will put on record, I charge 185 an hour. All of my other clients are paying me 185 an hour. And for 13 years, I've been in business, and I've been an HR director for over 15 years before I started running my own business. I love HR, but I only know how to do it one way, and that's the right way. So I already know, if you pay me 165, I'm still gonna do $300 an hour work. That's all I know to do. I don't put a price tag on my work. What I have to put a price tag on is my time, because there are people in my company that have to get paid, including myself. This is not what I charge. This is what I would like the contract to be built out at. I love employee relations. I named my company the Employee Relations Group. That's where I do my best work. So you don't know me yet, which is why I gave you a list of my clients to call and talk to them about how difficult things were before they got to know me. But this is also my expertise. It's all I know. Anything about employment law and recruiting, hiring, firing, this is all I know. So when you hire me, that's all you're gonna get.
And that's just the point that I was trying to
That's my
make.
leg.
That it's about your expertise.
Yes, ma'am. I'm an
And
expert.
in order for our city to attract the talent that we need, if I need expertise in law, I'm going to call Chief Otley. If I have a question about code, I'm going to call Ms. Wilcox. They're experts, but we don't get the experts in this particular. So then we look at a revolving door of employees, a revolving door of our city. And so in order for us to attract, we have to find the money. And so I employ my commission to find, to execute this contract and have the city manager find the money to pay for talent. Let's stop willy-nilly and pushing. That's pennies of the things that we're doing in this city. You need to find the money, get the talent, and then allow her to do her job so that we can see the needle moving in our city. And that's all I have to say. Thank you, Mr. Manager, Mayor.
Ms. Adams, quick question.
Yes, sir.
I think you said that there were two people, yourself and another person, that will be working on the Opa-locka project?
Yes, and I'm going to pay that head count. In order for me to do what I want to do at the level I want to do it, my company's gonna pay that head count.
So the 165 is yourself to include one of your associates?
It is.
Got it.
My rate will, be diminished greatly. But
Okay.
that's something I've signed up for, and I'm not going to discuss it as a term at all.
Got it. We understand.
But that's the only way I can do what I know to do, because there is no one I'm aware of that's in the department now that has HR experience. And if I'm going to start immediately, I need to have someone working with me immediately. And so until I solidify the HR account, this person will be working with me indefinitely from the employee relations.
Got it. Okay. All right. Any other questions for Ms. Adams? Or we can call the question.
Mr. Mayor.
Oh, but we have to I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yes,
Thank you for approaching the podium
yes,
and
ma'am.
for giving your views. I respect you for that. My decision is not personal. It's not about you. It's not about our city manager. It's not about timing of the data that we didn't get, what we should have gotten. From me personally, I didn't get it in time, regardless of how it happened. That's all it is. Thank you.
I appreciate you stating that. Thank you.
Okay. Madam Attorney, because only the commission can vote on contracts in this city. We can insert the number.
Yes, Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
what you will need to do if it requires a budget amendment or anything like that, you'll have to deal with that with the manager. But it may not, only because you have had that position vacant for so long. You probably do have dollars. That's something that Ms. Lawson would have to speak to. But in terms of contracting and your question, yes, you can determine that.
All right, so, well, I'll make a motion to, would that be made as a motion or?
You would have to, right now, there's nothing in the
I said
contract,
there's nothing in there.
right, for that cost amount. So you would have to have some discussion on that and include it in your motion. So you'd approve the contract with the addition of with the amount to be included in section Article 4 of page 4.
Article 4. And I also want to say, okay, I see it. The amount of, all right. No, but that says 165 per month. So this is for the year?
So you could do that for per fiscal year,
Per
or
year.
I'll change it to whatever you all agree to. So if it's per fiscal year, or if you're breaking that number down into an amount, a monthly amount based on the fiscal year,
Well,
that's what.
I think that's something that the manager can do himself to break it down based on the fiscal year. So I'll make a motion to insert the 165 per year, as well as allowing the manager to further negotiate the scope of work, because you said that he had other deliverables that he asked you and you agreed to.
Yes.
And we're not privy to what but you all, that's the conversation you had on Monday. So if that's something that you already agreed to,
Yes.
Madam Attorney, so what I'll do is make the motion to add the 165 per year, and also allowing the manager to expand the scope of work to include the deliverables that were negotiated on prior to this meeting on the 27th.
Yes, sir, I can add that
Yeah.
to the scope of work area.
Commissioner Kelly, you said something?
Yes, I want to be heard after your motion.
Okay, so that's the motion that I have on the floor. I would just need a second.
Second.
Okay, so the motion was made in second, so we need to vote on the motion, Madam Clerk, and then we'll.
Mayor,
Oh,
Is-
Commissioner Kelly, I'm
discussion.
sorry. No.
thank you. I will support the motion, but I really wouldn't give the other deliverables. The manager knew that this meeting was taking place. He knew the discussions he's already had with Ms. Adams. So if there were other deliverables or other information that he wanted to have, he could have submitted that to us way before now. I am so tired of this backpedaling and asking to someone who just keeps dragging us down the road. It makes no sense for us to be at this point. So to me, whatever's in the agreement is really what we should be doing. But if you want to add some deliverables that he's going to add, because he may add some stuff on there to take this contract way out of the scope of what Ms. Adams may even want to do. And that's my concern. There is a list of deliverables. There's a list of information here, a scope of work. And that's what we should be voting on. To pass it and allow him to add stuff that we don't even know what he's going to add yet, could take it for 165. She may decide I can't do all those other deliverables for 165 and be effective. He had the opportunity to add whatever. He spoke to her about others. He could have submitted that to the commission via Ms. Lawson, just like we got the number. He could have submitted that. But if you want to go that route, you can. I would just vote on the 165 that's in the agreement. If he has some other deliverables, he can come back and do an addendum to the contract and bring it back before the commission. I also would like to say that we make sure in the discussion, so I can put on record, that additional amount of money, which I agree because we haven't had anybody there, shouldn't be a problem. But if it is, that additional amount is needed, be found and presented in the next budget amendment, because we have them so much. So there will be not a problem, and it won't be an issue where we're going to get the funding from, because that way staff already knows they would have to find it if necessary. I just wanted to put that on the record. If you want to do 165 plus the other deliverables, I can support that, but I'm concerned about passing this, and then there's 50 other things that comes behind this, and Ms. Adams would go, wait a minute, I can't do that for 165. We've already agreed that they will be part of the agreement. Whatever's in the agreement is now, the manager has seen it. He's negotiated with her. The only thing that we need to really deal with is the money side and to make sure the money is there. So while I would support, giving extra time or extra deliverables that could be inserted later, I really prefer to just have it clean like it is, what we have in front of us, the amount the commission is going to agree, knowing that it was not enough in the line item, that it would be reflected in the next budget amendment for the commission to pass, and pass it as is that way. That's really a motion that I would offer. But since you have that one on the floor, we got to deal with yours first.
All right, so we have a counter motion, Ms. Adams. So what I'll do is I'll withdraw my motion from the floor and then amend it to say 165 as is per the contract. And if the manager needs to expand the scope of work, then he needs to amend the contract via resolution. You say,
I was gonna say, I agree. I think if and I know you're in the middle of a motion, it needs to come back. We need to see what that expansion of deliverables are, because if we don't, we won't be told what they are.
okay,
And Mr. Mayor, that's currently how it's written right now. So if there's an amendment, there's a process for, like all contracts, you would come back before the commission so you wouldn't have to change anything to address the amendment issue.
okay. But Commissioner Kelly's counter motion, well, I guess it'd be an addition to the motion at this point, is to ensure that it comes immediately as a budget amendment item, the 165.
Well, I don't think it's necessary because you're approving this. They're going to have to figure out how they're doing their budget.
Okay.
And if he needs to bring it back, he'll have to do that anyway.
Got it.
Because he can't operate outside of the budget.
All right, so the new motion, do I need to restate it or?
I have it's the same thing. You're just making it 165 per fiscal year. And that's it.
As is.
Yes.
All right, so the motion is back on the floor. Can I get a second?
Second.
All right, so we're going to vote on the motion, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Baz,
No.
Vice Mayor Irvin,
No.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes. Oh,
Yes.
sorry. I forgot. I forgot he was.
Yes.
He said yes.
Mayor Taylor.
Yes.
Motion passes 3-2.
Okay, and now we're going to vote on the actual item itself.
That is the item, Mr. Mayor.
That
is the item.
No, we just voted on the motion
You-
to add the money.
Okay.
So now we have to vote on the item. That's what I. So it was already moved in second. So Madam Clerk.
Vice Mayor Irvin,
No.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Baz,
No.
Mayor Taylor.
Yes.
Motion passes 3-2.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Ms. Adams.
Yes, sir. Thank you all.
Thank you.
So now we're gonna go into our discussion items. Madam Clerk, do you have the original timeline of the manager search?
I did not bring copies, Mr. Mayor, but I will search in my email and perhaps I can find it and forward it to you.
Okay. And this is, well, we should have had this. I should have asked this question during the resolution. By any chance, Madam Manager, did you all discuss a start date? Because I know the commission stated immediately once.
I did see an email from Ms. Adams that she'll be able to start, I believe it was December, was it 11th, if I'm not mistaken, after. Okay. Yes, I did, seeing that.
To start as soon as the state approves it. Okay. All right. So the start date will be as soon as
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Kelly.
thank you. I would also ask the clerk to make sure we forward it up to to the Chief Inspector General Office with an urgency. I'm sure they are aware of it already, but with an urgency so it can get completed so she can start.
Okay. All right. All right, Madam Clerk, you have those timelines or dates or? Or we can start from scratch. It's,
No, I'm getting ready to forward it to you all as we speak.
I was,
we don't have ours.
Mr. Mayor, I was wondering if we can ask Miss Adams, maybe she has a plan of action, something she can roll out to us in terms of I know, because I know that was one of the first deliverables was
Yes, in preparation of this meeting, even though I'm not under contract yet, I sense that I would need the information, and in preparation of the meeting, I have checked and developed, I actually have a plan, a recruiting plan for the role. My first plan of action would be to have one-on-one with the commissioners and to get your input on the pros and cons of the job, what has worked, what has not worked, what you would consider, other than, of course, someone that is an expert in project management, budgeting, and convincing Tallahassee of the oversight that is currently underway. There are a lot of other character traits and cultural traits that we would be looking for. So after meeting with you, I would actually develop a job description. And I think it should be a Florida search initially, unless we do not get the input that we would like. I would also like to reach out to minority organizations that I'm associated with and that I'm aware of. I've also searched like community population and ethnicities of the city of Opa-locka, and I have gotten a salary range. And I've also compared that information from like a national salary survey as well. And so that's what I have done. I think within
Mayor?
yes, sir.
Commissioner Kelly?
I'm trying to understand and follow along, and maybe because I'm on the phone, I can't hear. It sounds like Ms. Adams is talking about from a beginning start position.
I think so, but I was gonna let her finish. I was gonna ask that as well, but
Oh,
Yeah,
do you-
because we were already in kind of the
because
middle of.
we've already, what you
She may
just
not
stated,
know.
we've already done. But,
Oh.
you just came in. So, we've already done that process. The job description, the budgeted amount we did as a commission, and we already have it. And I think we did it with Mr. Parker. So, what we can do is get the clerk to forward that information, well, through the manager's office to you,
Okay.
so that you can familiarize yourself with what the commission has already
So
voted and
you've already
approved.
approved.
Yes,
Great.
ma'am. We've
That
already
puts me
approved it.
ahead a lot.
And I can tell you now, we've already, okay, we were stagnated. We already selected. No, we did
Three.
not select yet. We've already put it out for, we shortlisted. Thank you.
Mhm.
But it was a couple months ago. So I was gonna propose that because I don't know, have we been in contact with the short list? No, I'm talking to the clerk.
I don't think you've
I
done a
was-
second short list.
Did we do the-
You
Miss-
did the
Mr.
first
Mayor,
short
the
list, but not a
first.
second.
The first?
Yeah.
So there was a short list for the first time it went
Initial
out.
shortlist, right.
And then HR was in charge the second time
Mhm.
around where they reopened the deadline and they accepted additional applicants, but I'm not involved in that process. at
Okay,
all.
so what I was gonna say is that we reopen it for maybe a week. One, to see, and also reach out to the candidates that we already have to see if they are still interested, and then close it, and then do the short list. That's my suggestion, so that we can move this process along.
So initially re-engage with the short list that's been established.
No, ma'am, there is no
Great.
short list. I misspoke. I'm sorry.
Oh,
But we have a pool of candidates.
pool
There we
of
go. We already have a
applicants.
pool of applicants
okay.
so far, right? Through
So
the,
re-engage with them
Mhm. As
while
well as
it's-
reopen,
while it's being reopened.
right?
It would be respectful to let them know that they may see it again.
Okay,
And yes.
so that's my suggestion. But I can, this is my colleague, your feelings on reopening for a time period and then closing and then moving forward.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I agree. I think if I waited for 45 days and I haven't heard anything, I would probably have moved on. And I think we did have a candidate that did move on. And at this point, we don't even know who's still available. So I think that we should re-engage with more candidates. And then also, since Miss Adams will be on board, she may have different processes and systems that will be able to throw a wider net, a reach that maybe our former HR director didn't have. So I'm thinking that that'll be your thing.
I will
Yeah.
do everything you guys have already done
Okay.
so that I'm not duplicating. Because it sounds like I would be very far ahead. I'll let you know if I need to revise the job description.
Okay. All right. So my suggestion is that we reopen, and I'm looking at a calendar.
I think reopening it during the holidays are a great time frame because people are home on the holiday and they're looking at jobs postings. So I would not assume it's going to be a slow period. I plan to continue to recruit during the holiday for sure. You can
Mr.
find
Mayor?
home.
1 second, Ms. Adams. Commissioner Kelly?
Yes, thank you. I agree. I would just, looking at the calendar structure we had, for receiving applications, et cetera. I would be, and again, I know you're trying to look for dates, somewhere along, December 4th, and to close it, within a week or 10 days, which would go to the 15th maximum. And then you could pick up from where we are in terms of what the expectation with new dates.
Okay, so you're proposing 10 days. Yeah.
Well, I'm saying a 10-day max. I'm saying,
10 days
if it'll
max.
go out, if it would go out by Monday, because this is already Wednesday, so I'm just giving a couple of days for the state to approve it and all that good stuff. Shouldn't take them longer than a day or two since they know we've been working on this. So that's why I said the 4th, which would be Monday.
Okay, I am in agreement for the 4th, but we've opened this to me like 3 times, I believe. So I would say the 4th through the 11th.
Okay, I don't have a problem with the 11th. I just want to have some timelines that we all are aware of and agreeable. So I don't have a problem with the 4th through the 11th. If that's amenable to my colleagues, that's fine with me.
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Williams?
so I think I heard Miss Adams mention during the holidays, but we're going before the holidays. So I'm again, I don't know, I'm trying to default to the expert.
Interviewing
Interviewing.
and contacting people.
Okay, so
Oh,
you didn't,
yes.
okay, I got it. I
we-
thought you were saying like they would apply during the holidays.
Yes, if we had it open, that would not, I think, preclude people from looking at ads if we wanted to have it further in the month. But it sounds like by the time we meet on the 13th, which I have on my calendar, the next commission meeting, I need to have a report of where I am with the applicants that we have at that time.
Does that give you enough time from we said the 4th, correct?
4th to the 11th.
Does that give you enough time to acclimate yourself to all of this, all of the
Oh,
prior
recruiting?
information?
Yes,
Okay,
would be
and
fine.
in your expertise, does that give enough time?
Oh, yes.
Window?
Oh, yes.
No, I meant to open this and have qualified expert. I mean,
I have to be authorized to post it, so we have to have had my contract settled. But I'll already be preparing it.
so maybe I'm not clear. Does that, in your opinion, does the 4th through the 11th give us as a commission, when we reopen the job listing, do you think, and this yes or no, it's okay to say no with us. If that's enough time for us to recruit qualified candidates, the 4th to the 11th.
I don't know.
No, and I guess I'm just trying to make sure we're
I
not
don't
like
know
throwing out
until the
dates.
11th, what the close of the day close, if we need to extend it.
Got it.
Based
Okay.
on what you already have
Okay.
in your
Okay.
pool, what I re-engage, what I'm left with at that. If I have no one to start with
Then
on the
you'll report
4th,
to us and let us
then we
know.
will definitely need to
Okay.
extend from the
No problem.
11th.
So then I'm okay with the 4th to 11th. Okay, but that is.
I was,
Vice Mayor?
thank you,
Vice Mayor?
Mr. Mayor. I was gonna say that since we have someone we can ask, that we should ask her for the dates and go from there. And then that way, I mean, before we were guessing dates and stuff like that, but since we have someone, she could look at the calendar and tell us what she thinks would work instead of us giving dates, because I ain't never been no HR director before.
I think we settled on that just now. You were holding that thought until,
Because I was trying to wait.
yes.
Yeah,
But I think
it was,
we've settled on that.
Commissioner
So-
Williams beat me to the buzzer, so.
So I understand correctly, you have a pool of applicants that have not been communicated with in approximately 45 days. I will start with that pool. As soon as I'm authorized to do so, contact them first. I don't believe we should post the job until I've contacted them, or at least been able to email them or leave them a voicemail. And as soon as I finish that, I push the button to post it again. And we're talking about the 4th December, reasonable time frame, to the 11th. On the 11th, close of business, I will know if I have enough qualified applicants to start my initial screening process. If I don't, on the 11th, I will email you all and let you know, based on the pool we have today, we need to extend, and I would then extend it for 2 weeks.
The 2 weeks will take us into Christmas holiday.
Mid-December,
Yeah.
yes.
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Kelly?
I would agree with that because it would only trigger if we don't get a pool of applicants that she believes would be satisfactory on the 11th. Then we could push it, but at least we'd have a time frame of that already, so we would be quite aware. I know we might want to try to get down the road faster, but people who are potentially looking for a job will still be out there. With her expertise, she would know how to reach out to possible entities that would be, able to reach folks. So I would be supportive of that 4th through the 11th. And then at the close of business day on the 11th, she says if she does not have it, she'll communicate to us with the recommendation of extended 2 weeks. I think that's pretty fair. Obviously, that'll take us into Christmas, but at least it'll be have us on the track that we at least have the time frames and dates and an expert on hand to give us guidance on the rest of the process. So I don't know if that requires, I don't know if we can do a motion or not, but I would offer that if necessary at the appropriate time after my colleagues have spoken.
I'm in agreement. For the 4th to the 11th. And then you're gonna reach out to, well, I guess through the manager's office to each of us on the 11th, or
Yes.
I heard you say you were prepared to do a report at the commission meeting to the commission on the
I plan
13th.
to attend each commission meeting and present an HR report.
Okay, so what we can,
I've gone through the calendar and put them in my calendar already on your website.
so what we can do, in my opinion, is to Commissioner Williams and Vice Mayor and Commissioner Kelly's point. The 4th to the 11th, we reopen. Between the 11th and the 13th, you will speak to each one of us to tell her we got this, we got that, we got this. And then on the 13th, during the mayor and commission report, we would do another discussion on the manager search to see what the next steps from this process will be.
Yes.
Because that would be the next time that we'll all be together to discuss
Yes. and
as
I would have-
a unit, as opposed to discussing individually.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Kelly?
I want to be clear because I know we've never really went down this road. because she works with the manager, I want to make sure, I guess that's a question for the attorney. Would she be allowed to speak to us individually, or would we receive that information via the manager? Because we can request it that we want it. But could we meet with her individually? I don't think we can. But I
That's
do
what I
want
said,
to get
through the
this information.
manager.
Yeah, well, actually, commissioners, that's the only thing that was actually in the RFQ. That's the only thing that cannot have anything to do with the manager. So that was already, and it's also part of the contract. I just pulled it again right from you'll see it under the scope of services. My pages are a little out of order here now, but you'll see it under scope of services under the agreement. It's the very first thing, and it was the very first thing in the RFQ. And it's clear that the manager is not to have anything to do with the selection process of the city manager. So the manager is already aware that this is an exception based on the RFQ and based on this contract.
Well,
Okay, Mr. Mayor,
okay. All right,
I just wanted that stated for the record because I know when people watch meetings and everybody works under the manager. So I wanted that notated for the record for this particular item or issue. That's the alternative to the process, but it's also part of the package. So I wanted that to be clear. Thank you.
okay. So just to reiterate the time frame, the hour is far spent. We're gonna reopen from the 4th through the 11th. You will report to the commission between the 11th and the 13th. So anytime between that time. And then on the 13th, which is the commission meeting, the commission will then discuss during, you could do it under the mayor's report, Madam Clerk, the next steps for the manager search.
Yes.
Okay. Are we all in agreement with that, or? Okay. Madam Attorney, will we need to make a motion? Could I know?
You have a consensus. You do not
Okay,
need any
we're good.
motion.
All right. All right, any other concerns or? The only other thing is, Madam Clerk, can you please don't, I guess she'll send you all of what we've done up to this point. That way you
Yes.
can
Someone has
familiarize
to get
yourself.
that to me other than the city manager. Yes.
Mr.
clerk-
Manager,
okay.
I can only provide, just to be clear, the first part of it.
No, I'm
I
talking
don't
about
have-
the scope of,
okay.
what Mr. Parker, that we voted
Okay,
on.
that's fine.
The scope of work and then the budget and all of that other stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
And then one other thing, Mr. Mayor, also the procedures from the state that were approved by the state for the city manager selection process, if you can provide that as well.
Okay, all right, our hearts and minds are clear. Any other questions or concerns? All right, no. All right, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Williams, second by Vice Mayor. This meeting is adjourned.